In order for one to adopt noble character, they must learn the blessed divine attributes and names of Allah, the Exalted, so that they can adopt each attribute into their character according to their status. For example, Allah, the Exalted, is all-forgiving according to His infinite status, and adopting this attribute by forgiving others is something which has been encouraged in Islam. Chapter 24 and Nur, verse 22.
And let them pardon and overlook. Would you not like that Allah should forgive you? And Allah is forgiving and merciful.
Therefore, this book will discuss some of these divine attributes and names in order for a Muslim to understand and adopt their meanings, until they become firmly rooted into their spiritual heart, so that they can ultimately achieve noble character. In fact, this is the meaning of the narration found in Sahih Bukhari, number 2736, which advises that Allah, the Exalted, has 99 names and whoever memorizes them will enter paradise. The next divine name is Ash-Shakur, which means the appreciative. This means that Allah, the Exalted, appreciates the sincere efforts of His servants and rewards them accordingly. This is an indication of the infinite mercy of Allah, the Exalted, as He is the one who provided them with the knowledge, strength, inspiration and opportunity to obey Him, yet He still appreciates their efforts and rewards them for it. The Muslim who understands this fact will be grateful by using the blessings they possess according to the pleasure of Allah, the Exalted. This will lead to an increase in blessings. Chapter 14 Ibrahim, verse 7.
And remember when your Lord proclaimed, "If you are grateful, I will surely increase you in favor."
A Muslim should act on this divine name by firstly appreciating the blessings Allah, the Exalted, has given them. This should be done through one's heart by acknowledging it, and through correcting their intention, so that they only act to please Allah, the Exalted. They should show gratitude through their words by speaking in ways pleasing to Him or remaining silent, and as mentioned earlier, through their actions by using the blessings they possess correctly according to the teachings of Islam. Even if one achieves all the different levels of gratitude, they must remember that showing gratitude to Allah, the Exalted, is not possible without His mercy, as the strength, opportunity, inspiration, ability and knowledge to show gratitude all come from Allah, the Exalted. Understanding this fact will keep one away from pride. In addition, they must show appreciation for the favors done by people. The Holy Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, has warned in a narration found in Jami at Tirmidhi, number 1954, that the one who is not grateful to people cannot be grateful to Allah, the Exalted. Even though the source of all blessings is no one except Allah, the Exalted, yet the creation conveys these blessings to a person. So being grateful to the messenger of the blessing is in fact being grateful to the sender of the blessing, namely, Allah, the Exalted. It is just like when an ambassador of a king is honored because they represent the king. If Allah, the Exalted, is appreciative of the efforts of His servants, even though He is the source of their efforts, how can a Muslim believe they are somehow superior to showing appreciation to people for their favors? Grateful servants of Allah, the Exalted, are few, as it involves abandoning one's desire and instead using each blessing according to the pleasure of Allah, the Exalted. This is the characteristic of the true servants of Allah, the Exalted. Chapter 34 Saba, verse 13.
And few of my servants are grateful.
The next divine name is As-Salam, which means the giver of peace. This, in respect to Allah, the Exalted, can mean the one who bestows peace on the creation in both worlds. A Muslim should adopt this characteristic firstly through their tongue, by spreading the Islamic greeting of peace to all those Muslims they know or do not know. According to a narration found in Jami at Tirmidhi, number 2688, a person will not enter paradise until they believe, and a person will not truly believe until they love others for the sake of Allah, the Exalted. This love can occur when Muslims spread the greetings of peace to each other. In fact, the Holy Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, has advised in a narration found in Al-Mujam al-Kabir, number 10391, that As-Salam is a blessed name of Allah, the Exalted, which He has placed on earth. Therefore, a Muslim should spread this blessed name by greeting each other with peace. This spreading of peace should extend beyond the Islamic greeting, and should be shown in one's speech throughout the day irrespective of who they are conversing with. The Holy Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, has made it clear in a narration found in Sunan an-Nasai, number 4998, that a person cannot be a true Muslim until others are not safe from their speech. Finally, a Muslim should extend this spreading of peace through their actions, not just words. The same narration quoted earlier adds that a true Muslim is the one who does not cause harm to other people unjustly. And a true believer is the one who extends this peace to the possessions of other people also. In fact, Islam teaches Muslims to extend this peace to all creatures such as animals. This is confirmed in a narration found in Sunan Abu Dawood, number 2550. This peace should be both outward as discussed earlier and inward, meaning one should not possess any envy, malice, ill will or a similar defect towards others. This will encourage a person towards developing a sound spiritual heart. Chapter 26 Ash-Shu'ara, verses 88 to 89.
The day when there will not benefit anyone wealth or children, but only one who comes to Allah with a sound heart.
Finally, the one who desires to be granted peace in both worlds must sincerely obey Allah, the Exalted, by using the blessings they have been granted in ways pleasing to Him. Chapter 16 An-Nahl, verse 97.
Whoever does righteousness, whether male or female, while he is a believer, we will surely cause him to live a good life, and we will surely give them their reward in the hereafter according to the best of what they used to do.
And chapter 20 Taha, verse 124.
And whoever turns away from my remembrance, indeed he will have a depressed life.
The next divine name is Ar-Razak, which means the provider. Allah, the Exalted, is the creator and allocator of provision to the entire creation, which they need to preserve their physical and spiritual constitutions. In fact, according to a narration found in Sahih Muslim, number 6748, the provision of the entire creation was allocated over 50,000 years before the creation of the heavens and the earth. The one who understands this divine name will rely on Allah, the Exalted, to provide for them as He has planned for them before they were created. They will prove this reliance by striving to gain lawful provision as commanded by Allah, the Exalted, while refraining from anything which is unlawful and doubtful. It is important to note that as people require physical provision in the form of food and drink, similarly, the soul of a Muslim requires provision also. This provision strengthens it and leads it to eternal bliss. This provision is in the form of sincere obedience to Allah, the Exalted, which involves fulfilling His commands, refraining from His prohibitions, and by facing destiny with patience. The foundation of all this is gaining and acting on Islamic knowledge. Therefore, Muslims should strive to gain this important provision of the soul, as well as provision for their physical body. Two elements should be remembered in this respect. Do not exert unlawful and unnecessary efforts in gaining one's guaranteed provision. And do not misuse or waste the provision one gains. A Muslim should act on this divine name by fulfilling their duty by providing for their dependents according to the teachings of Islam. This includes providing them with both physical and spiritual provision through education. A Muslim should also do the same for the needy according to their capacity, without fearing poverty for themselves. They should remember the narration found in Sunan Abu Dawood, number 4893, which advises that Allah, the Exalted, will fulfill the needs of the Muslim who takes care of the needs of others. The first two similar divine names are Ar-Rahman, meaning the most affectionate, and Ar-Rahim, meaning the most merciful. The most affectionate means the being whose mercy encompasses all. This obviously only befits Allah, the Exalted. The affection of Allah, the Exalted, is more related to the bliss of the hereafter and therefore reserved for the believers. Allah, the Exalted, is the most merciful according to His infinite status. This attribute means that Allah, the Exalted, bestows countless favors on the creation and is always extremely kind to them. His mercy is inclusive and embraces the deserving and the undeserving. It includes the bestowing bare necessities and special gifts to the creation. His mercy benefits the creation, while he gains no benefit from being merciful to the creation. This indicates the perfection of his merciful nature. A Muslim must remember that as Allah, the Exalted, is the most merciful, every difficulty they encounter has hidden mercies within it. For example, the bitter medicine given by a doctor does not seem very merciful, yet, through the permission of Allah, the Exalted, it can become a source of healing for a sick person. Chapter 2 Al-Baqarah, verse 216.
But perhaps you hate a thing and it is good for you, and perhaps you love a thing and it is bad for you.
This same characteristic has been attributed to others, such as the Holy Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him. Chapter 9 at Tawbah, verse 128.
There has certainly come to you a messenger from among yourselves. Grievous to him is what you suffer. He is concerned over you, i.e., your guidance, and to the believers is kind and merciful.
When used in reference to the creation, merciful means soft-hearted and compassionate. A Muslim must adopt these qualities by looking at the creation through the eye of mercy, and by treating them with mercy and compassion, whether they are obedient or sinful. Many narrations, such as the one found in Sahih Muslim, number 6030, indicate that the one who does not show mercy to others will not be shown mercy by Allah, the Exalted. So it is vital for Muslims to show mercy to all through their actions, such as financial and physical help, and through their words, such as supplicating for them. Islam, in fact, rewards a Muslim who shows mercy to all living things such as animals. This has been confirmed in a narration found in Sunan Abu Dawood, number 2550. Muslims must strive to adopt a merciful nature so that they employ mercy in all their affairs. Being gentle in this manner is beloved to Allah, the Exalted. This has been advised in a narration found in Jami at Tirmidhi, number 2701. The next divine name is Al-Wahhab, which means the bestower. Allah, the Exalted, is the one who is infinitely bountiful and bestows favors and blessings without recompense or external cause. He gives generously without being asked. The Muslim who understands this divine name will always seek bounty and blessings from Allah, the Exalted, as they know the bestower loves to be asked. This is confirmed in a narration found in Jami at Tirmidhi, number 3571. But it is important to know, the one who seeks bounty from the bestower should know it is not gained through his disobedience. Any worldly blessings obtained through the disobedience of Allah, the Exalted, will only become a burden for its possessor in both worlds. A Muslim should instead strive to obtain beneficial blessings from the bestower by fulfilling his commands, refraining from his prohibitions, and by facing destiny with patience. When a Muslim truly understands that all blessings have been given by the bestower, they will show true gratitude to him. This is when one uses all the blessings they possess according to the pleasure of Allah, the Exalted. This leads to an increase in blessings. Chapter 14 Ibrahim, verse 7.
And remember when your Lord proclaimed, "If you are grateful, I will surely increase you in favor."
A Muslim should act on this divine name by bestowing the blessings they have been given to others for the pleasure of Allah, the Exalted. The one who gives to others will be given more than they could have ever imagined. Chapter 2 Al-Baqarah, verse 245.
Who is it that would loan Allah a goodly loan, so he may multiply it for him many times over? And it is Allah who withholds and grants abundance, and to him you will be returned.
Even though it is impossible for someone to bestow their blessings to others without desiring something in return, even if it is only the pleasure of Allah, the Exalted, as this is a type of recompense. Nonetheless, one should aim for the highest level and bestow their blessings to others for the sake of Allah, the Exalted, and avoid doing it for worldly reasons, as this leads to loss in both worlds. This has been warned in a narration found in Jami at Tirmidhi, number 3154. The next divine name is Al-Sami, Al-Basir, which means the all-hearing and all-seeing. Nothing, irrespective of its size and location, is out of the reach of the divine sight and hearing of Allah, the Exalted. The Muslim who understands this divine name will be extremely cautious in their actions and speech. The same way one becomes vigilant over their actions when they are in the hearing and seeing range of someone they respect or fear, a true Muslim will be vigilant over their behavior, knowing no word or action escapes Allah, the Exalted. In fact, acting in this way is the high level of faith which has been described by the Holy Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, in a narration found in Sahih Muslim, number 99. If one remains steadfast on this behavior, then they will eventually reach excellence of faith whereby they perform acts such as the prayer, as if they observe Allah, the Exalted, constantly watching their inner and outer being. This attitude will prevent sins and encourage one to sincerely perform righteous deeds. In addition, this divine name encourages Muslims never to give up hope whenever they face a difficulty, thereby believing no one is aware or even cares about them. Allah, the Exalted, undoubtedly hears and sees their distress, and will respond at the time which is best for his servant. Chapter 40 Ghafir, verse 60.
And your Lord says, "Call upon me, I will respond to you."
A Muslim should act on this divine name by using these two senses in the way commanded by Allah, the Exalted. Meaning, one should not observe unlawful and vain things, nor should they listen to unlawful and vain things. They should instead use them in the obedience of Allah, the Exalted. It is important to avoid vain things, as they are often the first step to the unlawful. This is achieved by acting on the narration found in Sahih Bukhari, number 6502. It advises that when one fulfills the commands of Allah, the Exalted, in respect to the obligatory duties, and then strives in voluntary righteous deeds for the pleasure of Allah, the Exalted, He empowers their senses, such as their sight and hearing, so that they only use them in accordance to His desire and pleasure. One should use these two senses in the correct way, so that they benefit from all the things which occur around them, as every incident, event and moment is a message from Allah, the Exalted, to them. A message, when understood and acted upon, leads to good in both worlds. This requires one to abandon being self-absorbed, so they avoid hearing and observing only their own problems and issues. The next divine name is Al-Qudus, which means the Holy. Allah, the Exalted, is the one who is sanctified and free of all possible flaws and deficiencies, and the one who transcends every attribute of perfection. A Muslim should plead to Allah, the Exalted, to sanctify and purify them of all their sins and bestow them with attributes He loves. A Muslim should therefore actively purify their body from sins. Purify themselves from following evil desires. Purify their wealth by not seeking it from doubtful or unlawful sources. Purify their minds from heedlessness of the divine law. Purify their intention so they only act for the pleasure of Allah, the Exalted, even in worldly deeds, as these are recorded as good deeds, for example, providing for one's family in a lawful manner. This is confirmed in a narration found in Sahih Bukhari, number 4006. The next divine name is Al-Qahhar, which means the Dominator. Allah, the Exalted, is the one who dominates over all things outwardly through infinite power and authority, and inwardly, through infinite knowledge and awareness. The Muslim who understands the outer and inner domination Allah, the Exalted, has over His creation will refrain from all acts of disobedience. They will not oppress others, knowing they cannot escape the dominating force of Allah, the Exalted, even if they escape the force of worldly people, such as the police. A Muslim should act on this divine name by dominating over their inner evil and vain desires through the strength provided by Allah, the Exalted, which is only gained through his sincere obedience. This involves fulfilling the commands of Allah, the Exalted, refraining from His prohibitions, and by facing destiny with patience. They should use this strength to remove all things which prevents them connecting to Allah, the Exalted. The root of this is learning and acting on Islamic knowledge. Knowledge exposes the negative consequences of vain and evil desires. This will encourage them to abandon them. Chapter 64 at Tahaban, verse 16.
And whoever is protected from the stinginess of his soul, it is those who will be the successful.
The one who dominates all things is the only one who can provide a Muslim the strength to overcome all difficulties they may face in both worlds. He is the only one who can provide them the strength to perform righteous deeds and abstain from sins. These three elements combined are required for a Muslim to gain eternal success, and they will be granted to the Muslim who sincerely obeys the Dominator, Allah the Exalted. Allah the Exalted is Al-Kabid al-Basit, which means the one who contracts and expands. It can mean that Allah, the Exalted, is the only one who contracts the life and provision of someone through tests and trials. And He is the only one who can expand these things through divine blessings and relief from difficulties. In each case, Allah, the Exalted, provides His servants with what is best for them. For example, the faith of some will only remain strong if their lives are contracted, for if they reached a time of expansion they would step out of bounds which would lead them to hell. Conversely, the faith of some will only remain strong if they experience expansion in life, as difficulties can cause their faith to be shaken, which causes impatience and can lead them to hell. Chapter 2 Al-Baqarah, verse 216.
But perhaps you hate a thing and it is good for you, and perhaps you love a thing and it is bad for you. And Allah knows while you know not.
Allah, the Exalted, contracts the life of the one who fails to sincerely obey Him and expands the life of the one who obeys Him, even if they face difficulties. This obedience involves using the blessings they have been granted, in ways pleasing to Him. Chapter 16 An-Nahl, verse 97.
Whoever does righteousness, whether male or female, while he is a believer, we will surely cause him to live a good life, and we will surely give them their reward in the hereafter according to the best of what they used to do.
And chapter 20 Taha, verse 124.
And whoever turns away from my remembrance, indeed he will have a depressed life.
The Muslim who understands this divine name will be grateful for whatever situation they are experiencing, knowing it is best for them, and in each case they will adhere to the obedience of Allah, the Exalted. During times of contraction they will remain patient, and in times of expansion they will remain grateful. According to a narration found in Sahih Muslim, number 7500, the one who behaves in this manner will always obtain blessings in all situations. In addition, they will seek expansion through his sincere obedience, as they will understand that having worldly possessions does not lead to peace. Only in the obedience of Allah, the Exalted, will they obtain this. Chapter 13 Ar-Ra'd, verse 28.
Unquestionably, by the remembrance of Allah hearts are assured.
One should act on this divine name by contracting away from all the things which displease Allah, the Exalted, and expand their efforts towards the things which please Allah, the Exalted. They should contract their own lives by minimizing indulging in the excess of this material world, and expand the lives of others by striving to benefit them according to their means. An aspect of this is expanding others by reminding them of the infinite mercy of Allah, the Exalted, while balancing this by contracting them through reminding them of the punishment of Allah, the Exalted. The next divine name is Al-Mutakabir, which means the proud. Pride only belongs to Allah, the Exalted, due to His supreme and infinite majesty, greatness, glory and magnificence which are free from any faults or defects. No creation should adopt pride, as in reality they have nothing to be proud of. Anything good they possess has been created and granted to them by none other than Allah, the Exalted. The inspiration, knowledge, strength and opportunity to perform good deeds and refrain from sins only comes from Allah, the Exalted. Pride must be avoided, as anyone who possesses even an atom's worth of it shall enter hell. This is confirmed in a narration found in Sahih Muslim, number 266. As being proud befits only Allah, the Exalted, Muslims should therefore adopt humility. This humility should be shown by fulfilling the commands of Allah, the Exalted, refraining from His prohibitions, and by facing destiny with patience. This is a vital aspect of servanthood to Allah, the Exalted, which is the greatest station a Muslim can reach. Whoever shows such humility for the sake of Allah, the Exalted, will be raised in rank by Him. This is confirmed in a narration found in Sahih Muslim, number 6592. One should show humility without weakness towards others for the sake of Allah, the Exalted, and never believe themselves to be better than others, as the end result of their life or the lives of others is unknown. An aspect of humility is to accept the truth and act on it irrespective of who it comes from. The next divine name is Al-Muqi, which means the nourisher. Allah, the Exalted, is the only one who creates and apportions the provision for the entire creation. It can also mean the keeper, as Allah, the Exalted, keeps a strict and detailed account of the entire creation. The Muslim who understands this divine name will not stress over their provision, and this worry will never take them towards the unlawful, as they know Allah, the Exalted, has apportioned the provision for the entire creation over 50,000 years before the creation of the heavens and the earth. This is confirmed in a narration found in Sahih Muslim, number 6748. How can a person's provision escape them when it was assigned to them so long ago? The same way the body requires provision, so does the soul. Allah, the Exalted, is the only one who provides this provision, which is obtained through sincere obedience to Him by fulfilling His commands, refraining from His prohibitions, and by facing destiny with patience. A Muslim must act on this divine name by fulfilling their responsibilities by providing for those under their care, according to the teachings of Islam. A Muslim should also encourage others to gain both physical and spiritual provisions in a lawful manner. The next divine name is Al-Muhaymin, which means the overseer. This can mean that the divine vision of Allah, the Exalted, encompasses everything irrespective of its size or location. In addition, Allah, the Exalted, is a witness to the actions of the creation. He observes their outer physical actions and inner hidden intentions. Nothing can escape His divine vision. A Muslim should therefore strive in obedience to Allah, the Exalted, in order to reach the level where they become constantly vigilant of the divine vision. This level has been referred to as excellence of faith in a narration found in Sahih Muslim, number 99. When one is fully aware of the divine vision, it prevents them from sinning and encourages them to perform righteous deeds. A Muslim should be an overseer of their own soul and constantly take themselves into account in order to ensure they do not become heedless, as the main cause of sin is heedlessness. The one who takes themselves into account will find their accountability on Judgment Day easy. Whoever does not watch other themselves like this will commit sins without even realizing it. A Muslim should also ensure they keep a watchful eye on all the people under their care and advise them accordingly, as this is a responsibility given to them by Allah, the Exalted. This is confirmed in a narration found in Sunan Abu Dawood, number 2928. The next divine name is Al-Mu'min, which means the faithful. This divine name has several possible meanings. One is that the faithful is the one who grants faith to people. The faithful is also the one who protects his faithful servants in this world and in the next. In fact, all security in both worlds is only granted by Allah, the Exalted, the Lord of the worlds. If a Muslim desires this protection, they should be faithful to the covenant of obedience they took with Allah, the Exalted, which involves fulfilling His commands, refraining from His prohibitions, and by facing destiny with patience. In turn, He will fulfill His promise and protect them in both worlds. Chapter 2 Al-Baqarah, verse 40.
Fulfill my covenant upon you, that I will fulfill your covenant from me.
And chapter 65 at Talaq, verse 2.
And whoever fears Allah, He will make for him a way out.
One should be faithful towards all of creation by treating them kindly and fulfilling any promises made with them. One cannot be faithful to Allah, the Exalted, while cheating or mistreating the creation. As Allah, the Exalted, has commanded kind treatment of people, fulfilling this duty is part of being faithful to Allah, the Exalted. A Muslim protect others from their verbal and physical harm. This is in fact the sign of a true Muslim and believer, according to the narration found in Sunan and Nasai, number 4998. A Muslim encourage others to gain the protection of Allah, the Exalted, through his sincere obedience, and warn them against disobeying him. The next divine name is Al-Malik, meaning the King. This means Allah, the Exalted, is the one who possesses all sovereignty, which is free of all defects. It is a sovereignty which has no beginning, no end, no reduction, and no limit. Allah, the Exalted, has complete and total control over the creation through management and judgment without any limitations, partners or helpers. The King cannot be hindered or prevented from carrying out his will. The King has no need for any creation, while every creation needs him. By accepting Allah, the Exalted, as the only King, a Muslim indirectly accepts their servanthood to him. Therefore, they must fulfill all his commands and avoid all his prohibitions. A true servant never questions the wise decisions of the King, and instead submits with full trust to his choices, knowing that the wise King only decrees the best for his servant. Chapter 2 Al-Baqarah, verse 216.
But perhaps you hate a thing and it is good for you, and perhaps you love a thing and it is bad for you. And Allah knows while you know not.
When a Muslim recognizes Allah, the Exalted, as the King, they will not turn to another when seeking help, and instead only seek his support through sincere obedience to him. They will always remember, if they obey the King, he will protect them from the creation. But if they obey the creation over Allah, the Exalted, the creation will not be able to protect them from the punishment of the only King. This is indicated in a narration of the Holy Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, found in Sunan Abu Dawood, number 2625. He declared that there is no obedience to the creation if it leads to the disobedience of the Creator. A Muslim should adopt this characteristic according to their status by purifying their inner spiritual king, namely, the spiritual heart, through acting on the knowledge found within the Holy Quran and the traditions of the Holy Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him. This will cause their servants, meaning their bodily limbs, to obey their spiritual heart in acts of righteousness. The Holy Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, has advised in a narration found in Sahih Muslim, number 4094, that if the spiritual heart is pure, the rest of the body will be pure, but if the spiritual heart is corrupt, the whole body will become corrupt. One should not become a slave of their evil desires, and instead become a true king which controls their desires, according to the teachings of Islam. The one who detaches in this manner will become free from worldly things. In this detachment does the true kingship of people lie. Whoever perfects this will be given a spiritual kingdom in both worlds. The ultimate destination of the one who fulfills the rights of the king by perfecting servanthood has been mentioned in the Holy Quran. They will be granted a high station in the presence of the only omnipotent king. Chapter 54 Al-Qiyamah, verse 55.
In a seat of honor near a sovereign, perfect in ability.
The next divine name is Al-Latif, which means the subtle. Allah, the Exalted, is subtle in the way he benefits the creation through his decrees. The benefits and wisdoms of his decrees are intentionally not obvious in order to test the resolve of his slaves. Therefore, the Muslim who understands this divine name will remain patient in times of difficulty and show gratitude in times of ease, by using the blessings they have been granted in ways pleasing to Allah, the Exalted, fully believing that every decree of Allah, the Exalted, has many subtle benefits which are not apparent to them. Chapter 2 Al-Baqarah, verse 216.
But perhaps you hate a thing and it is good for you, and perhaps you love a thing and it is bad for you. And Allah knows while you know not.
A Muslim must act on this divine name by being subtle in the good deeds they perform, by keeping them private wherever possible, in order to avoid showing off. In addition, they must aid others according to their means in subtle ways whereby the needy person does not feel indebted to them, nor are they embarrassed in any way while seeking their help. Nor should the helper ever remind others of their aid, as this contradicts helping others in a subtle manner. The following divine names can be grouped together. Allah the Exalted is Al-Khaliq, which means the Creator, Al-Bari, which means the Maker, and Al-Musawwir, which means the Fashioner. The Creator is the one who brings something into existence. In reality, there is no Creator except Allah the Exalted, as He is the only one who creates without any aid from another. On the other hand, an inventor only invents things through the aid of Allah the Exalted. Chapter 37 SWT, verse 96. While Allah created you and that which you do, the Maker is the one who arranges all of the creation and prepares them for receiving the forms He has chosen for them, which is linked to the next divine name mentioned earlier, namely, the Fashioner. The Creator makes things manifest. The Maker chooses their shape, appearance, and time of creation. The Fashioner fashions the creation according to His divine will. After understanding these divine names, a Muslim must trust Allah the Exalted in all situations. If Allah the Exalted created and manages the entire universe, He is more than capable in sorting out a person's problems. In addition, these names indicate that Allah the Exalted is the one who creates and chooses all things. So a Muslim should not challenge the choice of Allah the Exalted, as this leads to nothing except disappointment. It is therefore better to submit obediently and patiently await relief, knowing that Allah the Exalted only decrees the best for His servants, even if this wisdom is not obvious to them. As a Muslim is short-sighted, it is better to trust in the Creator whose wisdom has no limits. Chapter 2 Al-Baqarah, verse 216.
But perhaps you hate a thing and it is good for you, and perhaps you love a thing and it is bad for you. And Allah knows while you know not.
The next divine name is Al-Kabid Ar-Rafi. Allah the Exalted is the abaser and the exalter. Allah the Exalted is the one who abases those who disobey Him. Even if a disobedient person gains some worldly success, it will ultimately become a curse for them. Allah the Exalted is the one who exalts those who obey Him by fulfilling His commands, refraining from His prohibitions, and by facing destiny with patience. Even if an obedient Muslim faces trials and difficulties in the world, they will ultimately be exalted by Allah the Exalted in both worlds. Chapter 3 Ali Imran, verse 26.
Say, O Allah, owner of sovereignty, you give sovereignty to whom you will and you take sovereignty away from whom you will. You honor whom you will, and you humble whom you will. In your hand is all good. Indeed, you are over all things competent.
A Muslim who understands this divine name will therefore not seek worldly success by pleasing the creation or through worldly things if it leads to the disobedience of Allah the Exalted, as they know this path only leads to ultimate abasement and disgrace in both worlds. A Muslim must act on this divine name by praising the things which Allah the Exalted has raised and disliking the things which Allah the Exalted has abased. This must be shown through actions, not just words. For example, they must praise the hereafter by actively striving to prepare for it. And they must dislike the excess of this material world, knowing Allah the Exalted has dispraised it, as it prevents a Muslim from adequately preparing for the hereafter. One should aim high in all their endeavors by aiming to please Allah the Exalted, and avoid adopting lowly aims and end goals, such as acquiring and enjoying worldly pleasures. A person's worth is equal to their aim. If their aim is high, they will be exalted, but if their aim is low, they will live an abased and meaningless existence. Chapter 95 at 10, verses 4 to 6.
We have certainly created man in the best of stature. Then we return him to the lowest of the low. Except for those who believe and do righteous deeds, for they will have a reward uninterrupted.
The next divine name is Al-Kabir, which means the all-aware. Allah, the Exalted, is fully aware of all things, including the inner intention and feelings of a person, as well as their outward actions. The Muslim who understands this will ensure they not only perform righteous deeds, but will do so with the correct intention, knowing that they might be able to fool people, but Allah, the Exalted, is fully aware of their intention and inward state, and will hold them accountable according to it. A Muslim must act on this divine name by striving to gain and act on useful worldly and religious knowledge sincerely for the sake of Allah, the Exalted. In addition, they must constantly supervise their inward and outward states. Through this they will become aware of their faults and strive to rectify them. A Muslim should not live heedless to the purpose of their creation. They should instead live in full awareness and therefore obey Allah, the Exalted, by fulfilling His commands, refraining from His prohibitions, and by facing destiny with patience. The next divine name is Al-Jabbar, which means the compeller. It can mean the one who exerts unparalleled force in order to accomplish a task. This belongs to Allah, the Exalted, alone, as there is no strength, might or force except with Allah, the Exalted. When a Muslim truly knows Allah, the Exalted, is the compeller, they will not fear anything in creation, as the only will which comes into effect is the will of Allah, the Exalted. In addition, this divine name gives Muslims hope, as they know that no matter what difficulties they face, as long as they remain obedient to Allah, the Exalted, by fulfilling His commands, refraining from His prohibitions, and by facing destiny with patience, He will grant them success one way or another. No force in creation will be able to prevent this. Chapter 65 at Talaq, verse 2. And whoever fears Allah, He will make for him a way out. Reflecting on this divine name also prevents sins. As a Muslim firmly believes, no matter how safe they may be from the justice of people, no force will be able to protect them from the justice of the compeller. A Muslim should act on this divine name by compelling themselves to obey Allah, the Exalted, at all times and overcome their evil desires, fearful of the unparalleled force behind the punishment of Allah, the Exalted. No evil thing can overcome an obedient servant of Allah, the Exalted, as they are provided strength directly from the compeller. Chapter 15 Al-Hijr, verse 42.
Indeed, my servants, no authority will you have over them.
The next divine name is Al-Hasib, which means the reckoner. Allah, the Exalted, is the only one who will hold the entire creation accountable for their deeds. The Muslim who understands this divine name will only obey Allah, the Exalted, and avoid his disobedience, as they know no deed, good or bad, will escape the reckoning of Allah, the Exalted. A Muslim must act on this divine name by judging their own deeds before they are reckoned by Allah, the Exalted. The one who does this will be inspired to sincerely repent from their sins and strive to fulfill the commands of Allah, the Exalted. The one who fails to assess their own deeds will only sink deeper into heedlessness until they reach their strict reckoning on a great day. The next divine name is Al-Halim, which means the lenient. Allah, the Exalted, does not hasten the punishment for the one who deserves it out of leniency. Instead, He gives them an opportunity to sincerely repent and rectify their behavior. Chapter 16 An-Nahl, verse 61.
And if Allah were to impose blame on the people for their wrongdoing, He would not have left upon it, i.e. the earth, any creature, but He defers them for a specified term. And when their term has come, they will not remain behind an hour, nor will they precede it.
The Muslim who understands this will never give up hope in the mercy of Allah, the Exalted, but will not also cross the limits and adopt wishful thinking by believing Allah, the Exalted, will never punish them. They understand that punishment is only delayed, not abandoned, unless they sincerely repent. So this divine name creates hope and fear in a Muslim. A Muslim should use this delay in order to repent and hasten towards good deeds. A Muslim should act on this divine name by being lenient with people, especially when they demonstrate bad character. They should show leniency towards others, just as they desire Allah, the Exalted, to be lenient with them in their moments of heedlessness. But at the same time, they should not be lenient with their own bad characteristics, knowing that punishment for sins is delayed, not permanently abandoned, until they sincerely repent. They should also remain steadfast in leniency by replying evil with good according to the traditions of the Holy Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him. Chapter 41 Fusilat, verse 34.
And not equal are the good deed and the bad. Repel evil by that deed which is better, and thereupon the one whom between you and him is enmity will become as though he was a devoted friend.
The next divine name is Al-Hakam Al-Adl, which means the judge and the just. Allah, the Exalted, is the one who judges the actions of his creation and justly chooses the outcome of all things. The Muslim who understands that Allah, the Exalted, only acts with justice, will always be pleased with his choices and will therefore show patience in difficulty and gratitude in pleasing situations. The one who is content with the rulings of the just will find peace in this world and in the next. A Muslim must act on this divine name by always acting with justice with themselves and in matters concerning others. This includes fulfilling the rights of Allah, the Exalted, the Holy Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, oneself and others according to the teachings of Islam, even if it contradicts one's desires or the desires of others. Chapter 4 An-Nisa, verse 135.
O you who have believed, be persistently standing firm in justice, witnesses for Allah, even if it be against yourselves or parents and relatives. Whether one is rich or poor, Allah is more worthy of both. So follow not personal inclination, lest you not be just.
One must do justice in respect to the blessings they have been granted, both inward and outward, by using them in ways pleasing to Allah, the Exalted. Injustice only occurs when one misuses these blessings. As warned in a narration found in Sahih Bukhari, number 2447, injustice leads to darkness in the hereafter. Therefore, the one who acts with justice will be granted a light in both worlds which will guide them to success and peace. The one who achieves this will become a complete balanced believer. This is the character of the Holy Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him. The next divine name is Al-Hafiz, which means the guardian. It can mean that Allah, the Exalted, safeguards and preserves the creation and takes care of them with special care. He protects the obedient from the plots and traps of the devil, and he safeguards the disobedient from his immediate punishment, in order to give them an opportunity to sincerely repent. A Muslim should act on this divine name by using the means provided to them by Allah, the Exalted, but always trust in his divine care and choices in every situation and outcome they face, even if they do not observe the wisdom behind some choices. This inspires patience and even contentment with the choice of Allah, the Exalted. Chapter 65 at Talaq, verse 3.
And whoever relies upon Allah, then he is sufficient for him.
A Muslim should also understand that they will only be protected from misguidance and punishment by the guardian, namely, Allah, the Exalted. This removes any signs of pride and ensures they seek his protection through sincere obedience to him. A Muslim must act on this divine name by safeguarding every trust they possess, such as their blessings, by using them according to the teachings of Islam. They should safeguard their actions and speech from the disobedience of Allah, the Exalted. This will ensure they receive more blessings from Allah, the Exalted. Chapter 14 Ibrahim, verse 7.
And remember when your Lord proclaimed, if you are grateful, I will surely increase you in favor.
The next divine name is Al-Ghafar, which means the one who often forgives. Allah, the Exalted, conceals and covers the faults of his repentant servants without punishing them or holding it against them in any way. He also conceals and forgives the evil hidden passing thoughts of a person without exposing them or punishing them. If the passing thoughts of a person were exposed to other people, they would undoubtedly hate them. A Muslim should never lose hope in the mercy of Allah, the Exalted, as this leads to unbelief. Chapter 12 Yusuf, verse 87.
And despair not of relief from Allah. Indeed, no one despairs of relief from Allah except the disbelieving people.
A Muslim should understand that the forgiveness of Allah, the Exalted, is unlimited, while their sins will always be limited. The limited can never overcome the unlimited. But it is important to note this applies to the one who repents sincerely, not the person who continues sinning, believing they will be forgiven. This is merely wishful thinking, not true hope in the forgiveness of Allah, the Exalted. Sincere repentance involves feeling remorse, seeking forgiveness from Allah, the Exalted, and if necessary from people, sincerely promising to refrain from the same or similar sin again, and making up for any rights which have been violated in respect to Allah, the Exalted, and people. Muslims should act on this blessed divine name by overlooking and forgiving the mistakes of others. It is logical to understand that if one desires the forgiveness of Allah, the Exalted, they should learn to forgive others. Chapter 24 and Nur, verse 22.
And let them pardon and overlook. Would you not like that Allah should forgive you? And Allah is forgiving and merciful.
Finally, just like Allah, the Exalted, conceals the evil hidden passing thoughts of a person, a Muslim must, when appropriate, conceal the faults of others. This will result in Allah, the Exalted, concealing their faults. This has been advised in a narration found in Sahih Muslim, number 6853. The next divine name is Al-Fatah, which means the opener. It can mean that Allah, the Exalted, is the only one who opens the treasure stores of mercy for the creation, especially in the time of distress. The one who understands this divine name will only ever seek relief from Allah, the Exalted, knowing He alone can grant this from His infinite treasury. The only way to obtain this is through sincere obedience in the form of fulfilling the commands of Allah, the Exalted, refraining from His prohibitions, and by facing destiny with patience. Chapter 65 at Talaq, verse 2.
And whoever fears Allah, He will make for him a way out.
It is simply foolish to disobey Allah, the Exalted, and then expect Him to provide an opening through a difficult situation. A Muslim should act on this divine name by providing ease and openings for those who are facing distress according to the means they possess, such as emotional, physical, and financial support. The one who is busy in helping others for the sake of Allah, the Exalted, in this manner, will receive the constant support of Allah, the Exalted. This is confirmed in a narration found in Sahih Muslim, number 6853. The next divine name is Al-Aziz, which means the Almighty. Allah, the Exalted, is the one who overpowers all things, who in reality is the only one who possesses power and might. Anyone else who possesses strength only does so because Allah, the Exalted, granted it to them. There is no atom in this world or in the next that can escape the power and authority of Allah, the Exalted. As all power belongs to Allah, the Exalted, a Muslim should therefore always remember that the strength to perform righteous deeds and refrain from sins comes from Allah, the Exalted, alone. This will remove any chance of pride creeping into their heart, an atom's worth of which is enough to take a person to hell. This is confirmed in a narration found in Sahih Muslim, number 266. Whoever desires for their faith to become mighty must obey the Almighty, Allah, the Exalted. Only then will they be granted strong faith which will aid them to overcome all difficulties so that they leave this world while Allah, the Exalted, is pleased with them. True obedience only lies in following the footsteps of the Holy Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him. This includes fulfilling the commands of Allah, the Exalted, refraining from His prohibitions, and facing destiny with patience. Chapter 3 Ali Imran, verse 31.
Say, if you should love Allah, then follow me, so Allah will love you and forgive you your sins.
Truly knowing Allah, the Exalted, is Almighty, should prevent a Muslim from sinning. As they should know there is no way to escape the might of Allah, the Exalted. In addition, when a Muslim engraves this divine name into their heart, it prevents them from committing oppression and wronging others. They become fully aware that even if there is no person powerful enough to seek justice from them, Allah, the Exalted, will certainly take them to account and punish them in both worlds. As confirmed in a narration found in Sahih Muslim, number 6579, oppression to others may cause the Almighty, Allah, the Exalted, to hurl them into hell on Judgment Day. The next divine name is Al-Azim, which means the tremendous. Allah, the Exalted, is tremendous in attributes and essence, beyond the perception and understanding of all. The one who understands this divine name will observe all things which are not connected to Allah, the Exalted, as small and insignificant. The commands and prohibitions of Allah, the Exalted, will be tremendous in their sight, so they hasten in obedience to Allah, the Exalted, by fulfilling His commands, refraining from His prohibitions, and by facing destiny with patience while putting aside all things which can hinder them in this task. A Muslim should act on this divine name by adopting humility, as all are humbled before the greatness of Allah, the Exalted. They should demonstrate humility towards Allah, the Exalted, and towards the creation without showing signs of weakness. In fact, according to a narration found in Jami at Tirmidhi, number 2029, whoever humbles themselves for the sake of Allah, the Exalted, will be raised by Him. A Muslim should also make their aspirations tremendous, by only acting for the pleasure of Allah, the Exalted, and nothing else, so that they reach a tremendous station in the presence of an omnipotent King. Chapter 54 Al-Qiyamah, verse 55.
In a seat of honor near a sovereign, perfect in ability.
The next divine name is Al-Ali, which means the Most High. This means that the divine essence and attributes of Allah, the Exalted, are infinitely high and beyond the reach and comprehension of the entire creation. The one who understands this divine name will only obey Allah, the Exalted, as nothing has a higher authority, power or control than Him. A Muslim must act on this divine name by raising their aims and aspirations, so they go beyond this material world and are instead directed towards the hereafter. Higher still is the aspiration which is fully focused on Allah, the Exalted, and nothing else. A Muslim should also act on this divine name by raising their moral character, so that they surpass bad and base character, thereby following in the footsteps of the Holy Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him. Chapter 68 Al-Qalam, verse 4.
And indeed you are of a great moral character.
This noble character should be shown both to Allah, the Exalted, through sincere obedience to Him, which involves fulfilling His commands, refraining from His prohibitions, and by facing destiny with patience, and it must be shown to people by treating them how one desires to be treated by people. The next divine name is Al-Alam, which means the All-Knowing. Allah, the Exalted, is all-knowing as nothing escapes His knowledge, whether in the heavens or the earth, whether visible or not. The knowledge of Allah, the Exalted, has no limit. It has no beginning and no end, and it is innate, meaning no one gave it to Him. Every creation which possesses knowledge has been granted it by none other than Allah, the Exalted. The knowledge of the creation is limited and has a beginning. Allah, the Exalted, is fully aware of one's outer and inner beings at all time. The Muslim who understands this divine name will refrain from sins both outward and inward, rightfully believing Allah, the Exalted, knows all this and will hold them accountable for their actions. In addition, they will not stress about worldly issues, understanding that Allah, the Exalted, is fully aware of them and will respond to them at the right time. A Muslim should act on this divine name by striving to gain and act on useful knowledge, both worldly and religious, which is the path of piety. This is the true inheritor of the holy prophets, peace be upon them, which has been indicated in a narration found in Sunan Ibn Majah, number 223. One must remember that actions without knowledge leads to misguidance, and knowledge without action has no benefit. Chapter 2 Al-Baqarah, verse 78.
And among them are unlettered ones who do not know the scripture except indulgement in wishful thinking, but they are only assuming.
And chapter 62 Al-Jumu'ah, verse 5.
The example of those who were entrusted with the Torah, and then did not take it on, is like that of a donkey who carries volumes of books.
One must therefore combine them both, beginning with knowledge and ending with actions. Allah the Exalted is Al-Jalal, which means the Majestic. This indicates the qualities of infinite sublimity and might. The Muslim who understands this divine name will continuously fear Allah, the Exalted, throughout their day, which will inspire them to remain steadfast in his obedience by fulfilling his commands, refraining from his prohibitions, and by facing destiny with patience. A Muslim should act on this divine name by rejecting all lowly acts and characteristics, and instead adopt lofty characteristics. This is arguably the greatest tradition of the Holy Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him. Chapter 68 Al-Kalam, verse 4.
And indeed you are of a great moral character.
The next divine name is Al-Karim, which means the All-Generous. Allah, the Exalted, grants his creation an uncountable amount of blessings without them requesting it. The Muslim who understands this divine name will not seek anything from anyone else. They will put their requests to Allah, the Exalted, knowing the All-Generous does not turn away anyone empty-handed. This is confirmed in a narration found in Sunan Abu Dawood, number 1488. But this response from Allah, the Exalted, requires sincere efforts from a Muslim, meaning striving in the obedience of Allah, the Exalted. The one who acts like this will not be turned away by the All-Generous. Chapter 40 Ghafir, verse 60.
And your Lord says, call upon me, I will respond to you.
A Muslim should act on this divine name by sharing the blessings they possess with the needy. According to a narration found in Jami at Tirmidhi, number 1961, the generous person is close to Allah, the Exalted, close to the people, close to paradise and far from hell. Sharing blessings go beyond donating wealth, and in fact includes all the blessings one possesses, such as offering physical and emotional help to others. The next divine name is Al-Mujib, which means the one who answers prayers. Allah, the Exalted, is the one who answers all supplications by either fulfilling one's requests, removing an equivalent sin from their book of deeds, or by saving reward for them in the hereafter, as long as the etiquettes and conditions of a supplication are fulfilled. This is confirmed in a narration found in Jami at Tirmidhi, number 3604. Allah, the Exalted, is in fact far too generous and shy to turn away a beggar from his door empty-handed. This is confirmed in a narration found in Jami at Tirmidhi, number 3556. He responds to the prayers even before they are made. This is the peak of responding. The Muslim who understands this divine name will persist on supplicating to Allah, the Exalted, and never give up hope of an answer. They will strive to fulfill all the conditions and etiquettes of a supplication in order to guarantee its acceptance. A Muslim must act on this divine name by fulfilling the good requests of people. In fact, a narration found in Shami at Tirmidhi, number 335, advises that the Holy Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, never turned someone down when asked for something good. The next divine name is Al-Wazi, which means the vast. The generosity, mercy and control of Allah, the Exalted, extends to all things, and he is never preoccupied from one thing, thereby being distracted from another. The vastness of his mercy and the blessings he has generously bestowed on the creation are truly uncountable. Chapter 16 An-Nahl, verse 18.
And if you should count the favors of Allah, you could not enumerate them.
The Muslim who understands this divine name will strike a balance between fear and hope, as they know Allah, the Exalted, is vast in both mercy and power. His mercy inspires hope, while his power inspires fear. A Muslim should act on this divine name by adopting good character, which extends far and wide by affecting everyone they are in contact with in a positive way. They should constrict the number of negative characteristics they possess, until they remove them entirely from their character. The next divine name is Al-Hakim, which means the wise. Allah, the Exalted, possesses infinite knowledge of all things and their real nature, and acts according to his infinite wisdom in a perfect manner. The Muslim who understands this divine name will never object to his choices and decrees, knowing that there is wisdom behind each choice of Allah, the Exalted, which benefits his servants even if they are not obvious to them. Chapter 2 Al-Baqarah, verse 216.
But perhaps you hate a thing and it is good for you, and perhaps you love a thing and it is bad for you. And Allah knows while you know not.
In addition, a Muslim must strive to gain and act on Islamic knowledge, as wisdom also includes understanding the highest of matters. A Muslim should act on this divine name by using their knowledge and blessings according to the commands of Allah, the Exalted, so that they benefit themselves and others in both worlds. This is the ultimate wisdom a person can possess. The next divine name is Al-Wadud, which means the loving. This means Allah, the Exalted, loves the believers and in turn they love Him. Chapter 5 Al-Ma'idah, verse 54.
Allah will bring forth in place of them a people He will love and who will love Him.
Allah, the Exalted, is the one who also creates love for a person in the hearts of His creation. A narration found in Sahih Muslim, number 6705, advises that when Allah, the Exalted, loves someone, He commands the angel Jibreel, peace be upon him, to also love them. He in turn commands the angels to also love them, and this love is spread throughout the heavens and the earth. When Allah, the Exalted, loves a servant, He bestows on them further blessings, so they remain steadfast in His obedience. This has been indicated in a narration found in Sahih Bukhari, number 6502. It advises that when Allah, the Exalted, loves someone, He empowers every organ in their body, so that they only obey Him. The Muslim who understands this divine name will strive in order to receive this love by following in the footsteps of the Holy Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, as all paths to the love of Allah, the Exalted, have been closed except His path. Chapter 3 Ali Imran, verse 31.
Say, if you should love Allah then follow me, so Allah will love you and forgive you your sins.
A Muslim should act on this divine name by loving and hating only for the sake of Allah, the Exalted. This in fact is a branch of perfecting one's faith, according to a narration found in Sunan Abu Dawood, number 4681. They will prove this love and dislike for the sake of Allah, the Exalted, by acting according to the teachings of Islam. In addition, they will love for others what they desire for themselves, which is a sign of their true belief. This is confirmed in a narration found in Jami at Tirmidhi, number 2515. They will support this belief through actions by striving to benefit others according to their means, such as emotional and financial support. This applies to all whether they are pious or not, Muslim or not. The next divine name is Al-Ba'ath, which means the raiser of the dead. Allah, the Exalted, will resurrect people on the Day of Judgment for their final reckoning. He also gives life to the spiritually dead hearts through guidance. The Muslim who understands this name will reflect on the heavens and the earth, and deduce the absolute necessity and inevitability of the Day of Judgment. For example, they will observe how the dead seed which is planted within the earth is brought to life by Allah, the Exalted, through rain. Similarly, the dead seed named human will be resurrected on the last day. They will observe how everything within the universe was created with perfect balance, such as the distance of the sun from the earth, the water cycle, the density of the seas and oceans, the density of the earth, and deduce from this that the one major imbalanced thing, the actions of people, will not be left as it is. It too will be balanced after the actions of people are concluded. When one strengthens their faith in this divine name, they will practically prepare for their resurrection by using the blessings they have been granted in ways pleasing to Allah, the Exalted. A Muslim must act on this divine name by learning and acting on Islamic knowledge in order to revive their spiritually dead heart. They will resurrect their spiritual dead body through the sincere remembrance and obedience of Allah, the Exalted, as the difference between the living and the dead is remembering Allah, the Exalted. This is confirmed in a narration found in Sahih Bukhari, number 6407. They will encourage others, especially their dependents, to learn and act on Islamic knowledge, thereby becoming a means to resurrecting their spiritually dead hearts. The next divine name is Al-Haq, which means the truth. Allah, the Exalted, is the truth as He exists without the need for anything else. Whereas, the creation only exists because of their connection with Allah, the Exalted, therefore they can never be the truth. Chapter 55 Ar-Rahman, verses 26 to 27.
Everyone upon it, i.e. the earth, will perish. And there will remain the face of your Lord, owner of majesty and honor.
The Muslim who understands this name will observe all things which are not connected to Allah, the Exalted, through His approval and pleasure, as false, and therefore avoid connecting with them. They will instead connect to all the things which Allah, the Exalted, is pleased with, as the thing which is connected to the truth becomes true through His mercy. For example, they will connect to the Holy Quran and the traditions of the Holy Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, by sincerely obeying and following them. A Muslim must act on this divine name by becoming an embodiment of truth according to their created level. This is achieved by adopting the different aspects of truthfulness. The first is ensuring their intention when speaking and acting is to please none other than Allah, the Exalted. They will either speak what is connected to the truth or remain silent. Finally, they will use the blessings they have been granted in truthful ways, meaning in ways pleasing to Allah, the Exalted, the truth. The one who behaves in this manner will be recorded as a truthful person by Allah, the Exalted. This is confirmed in a narration found in Jami at Tirmidhi, number 1971. The next divine names are Al-Awwal, which means the first, and Al-Akhir, which means the last. When there was no creation, there was the first, Allah, the Exalted, and through His will and power the creation were brought into existence. The last can refer to the fact that when all created beings perish, He alone will endure, as He ever did. Chapter 55 Ar-Rahman, verses 26 to 27.
Everyone upon it, i.e. the earth, will perish. And there will remain the face of your Lord, owner of majesty and honor.
The Muslim who understands these names will ensure every action is connected to the first, Allah, the Exalted, by correcting their intention and actions. They will make the sincere obedience of Allah, the Exalted, their first priority in all their affairs. They will constantly remember their mortality, which will encourage them to prepare practically for their death and resurrection. This involves using the blessings one has been granted in ways pleasing to Allah, the Exalted. A Muslim must act on these names by being the first when doing good deeds and preparing for the Day of Judgment, and be the last when it comes to beautifying the material world. They will learn and act on Islamic knowledge so that they journey towards the closeness of Allah, the Exalted, and reach His presence, as this is the final stage a created being can reach. Chapter 54 Al-Qiyamah, verse 55.
In a seat of honor near a sovereign, perfect in ability.
The next divine names are Al-Zahir, which means the manifest, and Al-Batin, which means the hidden. Allah, the Exalted, is manifest through His divine attributes and decrees, yet hidden from the creation in His essence. The Muslim who understands these names will reflect on the creation of the heavens and the earth in order to recognize Allah, the Exalted, through His manifest signs. For example, if a Muslim ponders over the night and day, and how perfectly in sync they are, and the other things linked to them, they will truly believe that this is not a random thing, meaning, there is a force which ensures everything runs like clockwork. This is the infinite power of Allah, the Exalted. In addition, if one ponders over the perfect timing of the night and day, they will realize it clearly indicates that there is only one God, namely, Allah, the Exalted. If there were more than one God, each God would desire the night and day to occur according to their own desires. This would lead to utter chaos, as one God might desire the sun to rise, whereas the other God might desire the night to continue. The perfect uninterrupted system found within the universe proves there is only one God, namely, Allah, the Exalted. Chapter 21 Al-Anbiya, verse 22.
Had there been within them, i.e. the heavens and earth gods besides Allah, they both would have been ruined.
The recognition of Allah, the Exalted, through His manifest signs, will allow one to become firm in faith in respect to His essence. Firm faith will lead to his sincere obedience and success in both worlds. A Muslim will act on these divine names by hiding their good deeds from the creation as much as possible, thereby ensuring they are done for the sake of Allah, the Exalted. They will choose to remain hidden within the creation, thereby remaining anonymous, instead of seeking repute and fame. The one who behaves in this manner will gain the love of Allah, the Exalted. This is confirmed in a narration found in Sahih Muslim, number 7432. They will be manifest in commanding good and forbidding evil, and openly stand up for the truth, even if it leads to the criticism of people. They will lead by example, by adopting praiseworthy characteristics and avoiding negative characteristics, thereby enhancing the positive impact they have on others, such as their children. Good speech and actions will manifest from them, thereby benefiting themselves and others in both worlds. The next divine name is Al-Bar, which means the doer of good. The source of all good in both worlds is none other than Allah, the Exalted. Even the decrees of Allah, the Exalted, which may seem harmful, contain much good for the creation. For example, divine punishment in this world encourages one to reform one's behavior before their time runs out. The Muslim who understands this name will observe each decree and choice of Allah, the Exalted, in a positive way, knowing that all His decrees possess good, even if they are not obvious to them. Chapter 2 Al-Baqarah, verse 216.
But perhaps you hate a thing and it is good for you, and perhaps you love a thing and it is bad for you. And Allah knows while you know not.
This will aid them in remaining patient in times of difficulty and grateful in times of ease. A Muslim will act on this divine name by using the inspiration, strength, opportunity and knowledge granted to them by Allah, the Exalted, for doing good. This involves using the blessings one has been granted in ways pleasing to Allah, the Exalted. The more one remains firm on doing good, the more Allah, the Exalted, will empower their mind and body to do more good. This has been advised in a narration found in Sahih Bukhari, number 6502. Divine love and care will then encompass them in both worlds. Chapter 2 Al-Baqarah, verse 195.
Indeed, Allah loves the doers of good.
The next divine name is Al-Wakil, meaning the trustee. This can mean that Allah, the Exalted, is the only one who is responsible for the affairs and needs of the creation and fulfills them all according to His infinite wisdom. A Muslim who understands this divine name will only entrust their affairs to Allah, the Exalted, knowing He only chooses the best for His servants. Chapter 2 Al-Baqarah, verse 216.
But perhaps you hate a thing and it is good for you, and perhaps you love a thing and it is bad for you. And Allah knows while you know not.
They will prove this by being patient and even content in times of difficulty and grateful in times of ease. Patience must be shown from the very onset of a calamity until one departs from this world. Gratitude must be shown through one's actions by using all the blessings they possess in ways pleasing to Allah, the Exalted. If they persevere on this, they may even reach the level where they are grateful in every situation, knowing the trustee is looking after their affairs in the best possible way. Chapter 65 at Talaq, verse 3.
And whoever relies upon Allah, then He is sufficient for him.
A Muslim should act on this divine name by understanding that every blessing they possess was granted to them by Allah, the Exalted. Therefore they are trustees of the blessings, not the true owners. They must fulfill the duty of a trustee by using each blessing they have been entrusted with, according to the wishes of the true owner. The biggest blessing entrusted to a Muslim is faith. They must fulfill this trust by fulfilling the commands of Allah, the Exalted, refrain from His prohibitions, and face destiny with patience according to the traditions of the Holy Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him. These blessings also include one's dependents. Therefore, a Muslim must fulfill this trust by treating and teaching their dependents according to the teachings of Islam without any signs of neglect. The next divine name is Al-Mateen, which means the firm. This refers to the infinite power and might of Allah, the Exalted. The Muslim who understands this divine name will never fear the creation when obeying Allah, the Exalted, knowing nothing can overpower Allah, the Exalted, the Firm. They will remain sincerely obedient to Allah, the Exalted, at all times and avoid His disobedience, as they know they will not be able to escape the consequences of their actions. They will not be fooled by the respite granted to them, and instead use this time to mend their ways. Chapter 7 Al-Araf, verse 183.
And I will give them time. Indeed, my plan is firm.
A Muslim should act on this divine name by being firm in fulfilling the commands of Allah, the Exalted, refraining from His prohibitions, and by facing destiny with patience according to the traditions of the Holy Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, without fear of the creation, weakness or laziness. This firmness does not mean perfection is expected, as this is not possible. Rather, one must be firm in the sincere obedience of Allah, the Exalted, at all times, and whenever they trip up, return to Allah, the Exalted, through sincere repentance. This is the firm slave of Allah, the Exalted, even if they commit sins. Chapter 41 Fussilat, verse 30.
Indeed, those who have said, Our Lord is Allah, and then remained on a right course, the angels will descend upon them, saying, Do not fear and do not grieve, but receive good tidings of paradise which you were promised.
A Muslim must be firm in objecting to evil according to their strength and firm in commanding good, especially to those under their care. Being gentle and flexible in matters not connected to the disobedience of Allah, the Exalted, does not contradict firmness, it in reality beautifies it. Therefore one should not confuse firmness with harshness. The next divine name is Al-Hamid, which means the praised. Allah, the Exalted, is the one who is praised by His self-praise and by the praise of His creation. This also means that Allah, the Exalted, is the one who praises His righteous servants and handsomely rewards them for their efforts. The Muslim who understands this divine name will be far too busy in praising and obeying Allah, the Exalted, to praise themselves and to worry about their rights. This will keep them away from pride, which is a characteristic that leads to hell. This is confirmed in a narration found in Sahih Muslim, number 265. A Muslim must act on this divine name by only performing praiseworthy actions and adopting a praiseworthy character. This is arguably the greatest tradition of the Holy Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him. Chapter 68 Al-Kalam, verse 4.
And indeed you are of a great moral character.
The next divine name is Al-Muhi, Al-Mumit, meaning the giver of life and the giver of death. Allah, the Exalted, alone created and controls both life and death. The Muslim who understands this divine name will submit and sincerely obey Allah, the Exalted, by fulfilling His commands, refraining from His prohibitions, and by facing destiny with patience without fearing any of the creation, while knowing nothing controls life or death except Allah, the Exalted. In addition, a Muslim who recognizes this fact will understand that as Allah, the Exalted, chose the beginning and end of every creation, He has also chosen everything that occurs in between. The choices of Allah, the Exalted, are unavoidable, so one should not become impatient when facing them. Instead, they should simply sincerely obey Allah, the Exalted, in every situation, so that they obtain reward with every passing moment. For example, they should demonstrate patience during times of difficulty and demonstrate true gratitude by using the blessings they possess correctly in times of ease. This has been advised in a narration found in Sahih Muslim, number 7500. A Muslim should act on this divine name by bringing their spiritual heart to life and cause death to their ego and negative characteristics by striving to remove them from themselves through obtaining and acting on Islamic knowledge. The next divine name is Al-Wahid, meaning the one, the single. Allah, the Exalted, is single in His entity, attributes and acts. He is neither resembled by nor resembles anything whatsoever, and He is without partner or equal. The Muslim who understands this divine name will ensure their actions are only performed sincerely for one single entity, namely Allah, the Exalted. Otherwise, they may find that on Judgment Day, they are ordered to seek their reward from those who they acted for, which will not be possible. This is confirmed in a narration found in Jamie at Tirmidhi, number 3154. A Muslim should act on this divine name by striving to perfect their faith by loving, hating, giving and withholding for none other than Allah, the Exalted. This has been advised in a narration found in Sunan Abu Dawood, number 4681. The next divine name is Al-Muntakim, which means the one who takes vengeance. Allah, the Exalted, takes revenge on those who oppress his weak servants, as they do not possess the power to defend nor avenge themselves. A Muslim who understands this divine name will not oppress the servants of Allah, the Exalted, especially those who appear defenseless, as in reality their protector and avenger is Allah, the Exalted. Allah, the Exalted, will take revenge for his servants during their lives on earth and especially on Judgment Day. He will establish justice by forcing the oppressor to hand over their righteous deeds to their victim, and if necessary, the victim's sins will be shifted to their oppressor. This may well cause the oppressor to be hurled into hell. This is confirmed in a narration found in Sahih Muslim, number 6579. A Muslim must act on this divine name by taking revenge against their own inner devil, which inspires them towards evil, by subjecting it to the strict obedience of Allah, the Exalted, which involves fulfilling his commands, refraining from his prohibitions, and by facing destiny with patience. And a Muslim must seek revenge on all things which prevent them from the obedience of Allah, the Exalted, by turning away from them. The next divine name is Al-Ghani, which means the rich. Allah, the Exalted, is rich beyond needing anything, whereas the creation are poor and are completely in need of him. The Muslim who understands this divine name will seek all things from Allah, the Exalted, through sincere obedience by fulfilling his commands, refraining from his prohibitions and by facing destiny with patience. They will understand that both worldly and religious richness, which are free of any defects, can only be achieved through the sincere obedience of Allah, the Exalted. A Muslim must act on this divine name by striving to become independent of people and only rely on Allah, the Exalted. In fact, becoming independent of the material world and the possessions of people will lead to the love of Allah, the Exalted, and the love of people, according to a narration found in Sunan Ibn Majah, number 4102. This is achieved when one uses the blessings they have been given, such as good health, to lawfully fulfill their needs and the needs of their dependents, and avoid laziness by relying on others, such as the government, to fulfill this duty for them. The next divine name is Al-Jami, which means the Uniter. This means Allah, the Exalted, unites and gathers similar and dissimilar things. For example, He united people on this earth and will do so on the Day of Judgment. He will unite the righteous in paradise and the sinful in hell. He also has united different creatures on this earth and different parts of the human body to form one complete structure. The Muslim who understands this name will observe the different things he has united in order to strengthen their faith, as the unification of similar and dissimilar things indicates a wise Creator. He will seek to unite on what is good with those who Allah, the Exalted, has commanded, such as their relatives and good companions. Chapter 9 at Tawbah, verse 119.
O you who have believed, fear Allah and be with those who are true.
A Muslim will act on this divine name by striving to unite people on what is good, and separate them on issues which are evil. Behaving in the opposite manner is a devilish mentality which must be avoided. Chapter 17 Al-Isra, verse 53.
And tell my servants to say that which is best. Indeed, Satan sows discord among them.
They will unite their inward state with their outward actions, thereby avoiding hypocrisy. They will unite their character and actions with the Holy Quran and the traditions of the Holy Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, thereby uniting all the good characteristics and actions which please Allah, the Exalted, within themselves. The next divine name is Al-Dar al-Nafi, which means the one who decrees harm and decrees benefits. Allah, the Exalted, decrees harm to those who remain steadfast on persistent disobedience. But even in this harm, there is much good, such as wiping away one's sins before reaching Judgment Day. This is confirmed in a narration found in Sahih Muslim, number 6561. A Muslim who understands this divine name will strive to receive benefits from Allah, the Exalted, and avoid harm through sincere obedience. A Muslim must act on this divine name by keeping their harm away from others, and only provide them with benefits according to their means. This in fact is the characteristic of a true believer, according to a narration found in Sunan and Nasai, number 4998. The next divine name is Al-Baqi, which means the everlasting. Allah, the Exalted, existed eternally before He created the creation, and will continue to exist without any end. The one who understands this divine name will often remember their mortality, meaning their death. This will inspire them to prepare for it, and the hereafter, instead of remaining heedless to it. This preparation involves fulfilling the commands of Allah, the Exalted, refraining from His prohibitions, and by facing destiny with patience. A Muslim must act on this divine name by prioritizing the actions which will endure through the grace of Allah, the Exalted, namely, righteous deeds, over the worldly actions which will perish with this world. For example, the Holy Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, advised in a narration found in Sunan an-Nasai, number 3681, that a Muslim will continue to receive the reward for any type of ongoing charity they have done even after their death. This is a type of charity where the creation continues to benefit from it, such as a water pump. Simply put, if a Muslim directs their actions and efforts towards the material world, they will perish, yet they will still be held accountable for them in the next world. Whereas, the one who directs their efforts and actions towards Allah, the Exalted, will find that their deeds endure, and they will benefit them in every step of their journey to the hereafter, such as their grave. Chapter 16 An-Nahl, verse 96.
Whatever you have will end, but what Allah has is lasting.
The next divine name is An-Nur, which means the light. Allah, the Exalted, is the one who draws all things from the darkness of non-existence to the light of being. He sheds light on all good and bad things for His servants, so that they can be rightly guided to the abode of peace in the hereafter. He is the one who enlightens the heavens and the earth and everything within it. Chapter 24 An-Nur, verse 35.
Allah is the light of the heavens and the earth. The example of His light is like a niche within which is a lamp. The lamp is within glass, the glass as if it were a pearly white star lit from the oil of a blessed olive tree, neither of the east nor of the west, whose oil would almost glow even if untouched by fire. Light upon light. Allah guides to His light whom He wills.
The Muslim who understands this divine name will act on the advice and commands of Allah, the Exalted, as they shed light on the truth and guide people to eternal success. A Muslim must act on this divine name by avoiding those actions which encompass their spiritual heart with darkness, namely, sins. Instead, they must perform those actions which enlighten their spiritual heart and provide them a guiding light in both worlds. This has been indicated in a narration found in Jami at Tirmidhi, number 3334. The next divine name is Al-Hadi, which means the guide. Allah, the Exalted, is the one who guides His servants to what is beneficial for them in both worlds, and guides them away from anything which harms them. Chapter 91 Ash-Shams, verse 8.
And inspired it with discernment of its wickedness and its righteousness.
The Muslim who understands this divine name will seek guidance in worldly and religious matters from none other than Allah, the Exalted, through the teachings of the Holy Quran and the traditions of the Holy Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him. Whoever seeks guidance from anything else will not find lasting success. A Muslim should act on this divine name by guiding others towards the obedience of Allah, the Exalted, and what is beneficial to them in both worldly and religious matters according to their knowledge. This will ensure they become a true believer, meaning the one who loves for others what they desire for themselves. This has been advised in a narration found in Jamie at Tirmidhi, number 2515. The next divine name is Al-Warith, which means the inheritor. Allah, the Exalted, will inherit everything on earth and all those upon it, as in reality everything was created and belongs to none other than Him. A Muslim who understands this divine name will not attach to anything in the material world, and instead use everything they have been granted, in order to gain the proximity of Allah, the Exalted, by fulfilling His commands, refraining from His prohibitions, and by facing destiny with patience. If Muslims use the things they possess according to their desires, such as their wealth, they will become a burden for them in both worlds, and they will ultimately lose the things during their life or when they die. But if they use them in the correct way, they will become a blessing for them in both worlds. A Muslim must act on this divine name by striving to become an inheritor of the holy prophets, peace be upon them, which is achieved by learning and acting on the knowledge found within Islam. This has been advised in a narration found in Sunan Ibn Majah, number 223. This inheritance will endure as it is connected to Allah, the Exalted, whereas all worldly inheritance will perish. The next divine name is As-Sabr, which means the patient. Allah, the Exalted, is patient as He does not hasten punishment for those who deserve it. Instead, He continues to provide them with countless blessings and opportunities to change for the better. He decrees things at the best time in order to benefit the creation without hastening or delaying things. A Muslim who understands this divine name will take the opportunities provided by Allah, the Exalted, to hasten towards sincere repentance before punishment descends. Sincere repentance involves feeling remorse, seeking forgiveness from Allah, the Exalted, and if necessary from people, sincerely promising to refrain from the same or similar sin again, and making up for any rights which have been violated in respect to Allah, the Exalted, and people. A Muslim must act on this divine name by being patient in all matters, as it is required to fulfill the commands of Allah, the Exalted, refrain from His prohibitions, and face destiny, according to the traditions of the Holy Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon. They will remain patient when dealing people with the hope that Allah, the Exalted, will be patient for them. A Muslim must remember that Allah, the Exalted, only chooses what is best for His servants, even if they do not observe the wisdom behind His choices. Chapter 2 Al-Baqarah, verse 216.
But perhaps you hate a thing and it is good for you, and perhaps you love a thing and it is bad for you. And Allah knows while you know not.
Therefore, the only thing a Muslim needs to do is demonstrate the correct behavior in every situation so that they gain much reward. For example, patience during times of difficulties and gratitude during times of ease. This has been advised in a narration found in Sahih Muslim, number 7500. Over 400 free ebooks, audiobooks, infographics, podcasts and blogs available on our website, www.shakepod.com.